This is Yusuf from Chicago at JohnTheHutDweller channel, and I think I didn't address one of your points, AliciasAsylum. You said, are there various flavors in Orthodoxy? And the answer is a resounding yes. I answered it on kind of a hard theological basis of the main points, the seven ecumenical councils, or at least the first three ecumenical councils. Um, there is definitely various attitudes and beliefs that do differ. They're all orthodox. That's why when you ask somebody a question, you can get five different answers from three different people or six different people. I mean, there are multiple ways of looking at it. That's why the faith alone evangelical Christians who just believe it's by faith alone, and then they're cured of their sins, basically, or their sins have been blotted out, and they walk out a new life and do good and live by the fruits that they bear. That to me is basically a very mystical form of Eastern Orthodoxy, and I'm not against it in any way. It's the preaching of this faith alone thing which is heretical. So even the heretics wind up being doing something orthodox. Uh, I can give you examples of differences, political, jurisdictional, theological. This is the second time I'm making this video, so I'm trying to get through this as fast as I can because I left the 11-minute video, and I hope this doesn't, me making this response video doesn't bump off my other video to you where I think it was labeled too Aussie, Australian. Um, so one would be that one political thing would be that Greece doesn't, Russia doesn't recognize the Bishop of Constantinople as the ecumenical patriarch, and he doesn't see him as first among equals. Russia sometimes gets called the Third Rome because there was Rome, then Constantinople, then Moscow. So, or St. Petersburg. A practice, a tradition which varies is you have the 12 days of Christmas, and you have what's called either Epiphany or Theophany. Usually in the East it's called Theophany, but sometimes it's called Epiphany. In the West, it was the arrival of the three kings, where in the East the tradition is an Epiphany or Theophany. That it was the baptism of Jesus in the Jordan. Now, which one's right and which one's wrong? Well, they're both right. I mean, they're both traditions that have existed for before anybody could know, or anybody written anything down about it, and they're practiced. So they're both valid. Especially when you go into what's called the Oriental Orthodox, that wing of the Eastern Orthodox Church, which keeps going in and out of communion with the Eastern Orthodox Church and over various grounds and stuff. And the actual different sees and different ethnicities actually protected Orthodoxy, because once one fell into apostasy or reunion with Rome, the other ones were protected from this because they didn't have anything like a pope or something to tell them what to do. In Africa, I mean, there's really no instruments ever used in liturgy or church. In Africa, in the processions to church, they use drums, which is fine. That's called economia. Uh, Greek, the Greek church was going to reintroduce it. I think they might have already done it. Uh, the the office of deaconess, which I'm all for them reestablishing that. It's something that fell away, but since it's in their own tradition, they can revive it. The Desert Fathers, yeah, I think I'd explain the difference between you. They were mystics in the desert, and the Church Fathers were much earlier. The Desert Fathers didn't come around until the 4th and 5th and 6th centuries, whereas the Church Fathers were early on writers, and not all of them are orthodox. Many of them are heretical, and heretical seen by everybody. I mean, Tertullian and Origen, just to name two. So they're not dead on people. They're the first people to start writing about Christianity from a Christian perspective. Which some were Montanists, some were well, of different strains, and we get an idea of what comes from that. But some were very orthodox, like Ignatius of Antioch, um, and so yes, there are many different flavors. I mean, it's hard for me to go to any other church except an Antiochian, just because the tones of the hymns and the liturgy and the way they do things, and we even practice things differently. Like when the priest walks down, we touch his shawl in remembrance of when, or not shawl, I forget what it's called, the thing that hangs down over the robe, the what his mantle. We cross ourselves and touch it, and that's in remembrance of the woman touching Jesus when the clock dried up and Christ's power went out from her. So yeah, there are different flavors in there. I don't want this to get too long, so I'm gonna cut it short right now. But I felt that I failed to answer that part of it. I want to say yes, a resounding yes, and there you can be given two answers, and they can seem to almost conflict, but they're both are totally inside of orthodoxy. So uh, it's very odd. Orthodoxy is a loose confederation, and the things that we have in common are the councils. Outside of that framework, you have a lot to work with, and there are a lot of different viewpoints, but nobody points fingers at each other, calling themselves heretics. Once that happens, then they get labeled to be a sect, basically, like the Ephraimites, or what do you call the people at St. Anthony's Monastery, Ephraimites, because they're following Elder Ephraim as if he's ahead of every other bishop, and that he knows and everybody else is a heretic. So that's just one instance of it. Peace to you. I think your questions are wonderful. It is so great to actually have an honest, uh, compassionate atheist who is willing to defend the truth, whether that be against us, if I've never seen you challenge us hostily, or against those atheists who are just bigoted and foul-mouthed and cruel and mean. Uh, Again, peace to you, and this video has already gone too long, so please forgive me. I will make other more videos, other more videos, right? Uh, Again, this is Yusuf in Chicago at JohnTheHutDweller. Peace to you, AliciasAsylum in Australia. And again, somebody who doesn't know the pain and bitterness of the Northern Illinois winter. So, but you got a kick-ass accent, though. Peace to you.